Evening, everybody. It is 7:42 p.m., which I technically, usually would not classify as evening, but I've been harrowed by the cruel mechanism of daylight savings, and the sun is loath to go down. Once it was 5 p.m., and now it doesn't even start until after 8 p.m. I'm sort of deprived of what I would classify as an evening these days. Usually I think of evening as sort of the dusk period where the sun is just going down. But these days it seems like it's high up in the sky and then it just vanishes and it's gone in 5 minutes. But nonetheless, that is what happens here in summer. The sun is up for the majority of the day and simply refuses to go away. But the positive thing, if you don't like the sun at least, is all the fruits that come to the store shelves. And usually during winter you might be starved a bit for variety, for flavor, for that sweetness that is all too present in spring and summer. And that's what we're here to talk about today, is the mango. Now, mangoes are an interesting fruit to talk about because on this channel I've tried to make a point of separating varieties here. Like I'll talk about a pink lady apple and then I'll go on and I might do another review for a Granny Smith, and those are two very different, though they're both apples and certainly there are similarities between the two. There's not so many apples that you can just get overwhelmed by it and you can easily tell the difference. Not so much with mangoes. Now, if you Google it, you might be surprised to learn that there are hundreds of varieties of mangoes, and that might seem like a lot until you realize that there's more than that. There's actually over 1,000 varieties of mangoes, different cultivars of mangoes, and mangoes have been bred for a very, very long time. Initially, I think they probably started in India, and India is where they grow most of the mangoes still today. I think most of the world's production of mangoes is located solely in India. After that, it's of course China, and mangoes they're really suited to warm and humid climates. The real tropical areas. So that's where you find most mango production. As far north as Spain, certainly, and as far south as Australia, or at least the northern area of Australia. But really, when we talk about the massive mango areas, we're looking at India, at Pakistan, at China, Bangladesh, the Philippines. That's where mangoes are really, really big. And before I was a bit of an amateur in the field of mango varieties. I would just go to the store and I'd buy a mango, and I didn't even really think about whether there were different varieties or not. But if you go online and you really search into mangoes, you'll find awful competition between fans of different varieties of mangoes. People from Jamaica will say their mangoes are the best. People from Pakistan will say their mangoes are better than Indian mangoes, and so on and so forth. Now, that's not to say that simply an Indian mango is a monolith and a Pakistani mango is also a monolith, because even within the countries there are huge varieties of mangoes. So here we're talking about the Kensington Pride, which is the majority of the mangoes grown in Australia, something like 80% Kensington Prides, and you can find these. I'm not sure how far off into the world they are, but they're certainly grown in Spain. And so it's not just Australia growing these, but in India, for example, one of the more popular varieties of mango there is Alfonso mangoes, and one of the more popular varieties of mangoes the world over is the Tommy Atkins. You have Calypso mangoes, Mulgoba mangoes, and like I said, there's over 1,000. So I'm not just gonna sit here the whole time and list them, but that's not to say that you can go into a store at any time and let's say you go Monday and they'll have a certain variety of mango. You go on Tuesday, they'll have a completely different one, because most of these probably aren't commercially sold. A lot of these will be wild mangoes that have interbred with the surrounding plant life and produce something new that we haven't really cultivated. And there's also, obviously, there's commercial cultivation going on all the time, and research in that area trying to develop a hardier mango, that's sweeter, that has more edible flesh, less of a stone, that sort of thing. And so we come to the Kensington Pride mango. The other big mango in Australia, which is really an experimental one, is the Calypso. Now this mango, I bought a pack of 4 mangoes, and these are quite small, I think, these mangoes. Mangoes can get quite a bit bigger. If you go into the store, you might find almost double the size. But that's alright, because sometimes when we get a sweeter, smaller fruit, it's all the more sweeter. You know, if you go and buy cherries, you're not looking for a massive cherry, like a cherry the size of a watermelon. Don't be ridiculous. And with mangoes, you can really have a good idea of what you're getting when you buy a mango. You know, some people, if you just sit at the market or at the store and you just watch people walk around, you just shake your head. You know, you've got no idea what they're doing, because they'll go around and they'll pick up all sorts of things. Like they'll pick up watermelons or rock melons and put them to their nose as if they can smell that they're really good. Whereas those sorts of fruits, you know, they have a sort of hardy skin. They don't let loose a really potent scent that you can make a discerning judgment off of. But mangoes, you know, if you walk past them in the store, they're not going to hit you full force in the face with their alluring aroma, but you can get a real good sense for when a mango is ripe if you just hold it up to your nose, and you can get that mango smell. Now that's not something you can really say for a lot of other fruits. If you smell an apple, it doesn't really smell like anything. But the other thing is, I'm sort of at a loss sometimes. People will come to me and they'll ask me, hey, look, how can I tell if this fruit or that fruit is ripe? It's really more or less the same across all fruits. You know, if you pick up, and it's different firmness, obviously you want different levels of firmness depending on the fruit, but if you pick up a mango and you just sort of push in your finger or your thumb and it gives way, and you don't want to squeeze it like it's a stress ball because it'll just go all over your hands, but if it gives way, you can really tell that it's ripe, or it's approaching ripeness, it's overripe, it's ready to eat basically. Whereas an unripe mango, or an unripe avocado, things like that, anything really, apricots, peaches, nectarines, they'll be like rocks, and you can clearly tell that they're not for eating. You know, I had a guy just come up to me the other day, and he was really upset that I mean, this guy was like 30, but he was really upset. He said to me, you know, back in the old days, they'd have tasting bowls out for all the stone fruit, so you could tell whether it was eating, whether it was good for eating, whether it tasted nice. He said, you know, sometimes I'll go out and I'll buy some nectarines, and I'll eat them, and they're just not ripe, so they just don't taste very good. And I mean, not to be rude, but I don't want to, you know, turn around and say to this guy that he's a moron, because anybody with an ounce of common sense would say, why don't you just not eat fruit that's unripe? Why don't you wait till it's ripe? But people are strange, especially when you're a stranger, so we must continue on with our quest, free from diversion, to talk about the Kensington Pride mango, or maybe just a little bit longer about mangoes in general. Now, mangoes are a stone fruit, as the name implies. They have stones in them, like cherries, apricots, peaches, nectarines, avocados. They all have stones in the middle. Very different than, say, an apple, which has a core, it has some seeds, but those are all still edible. Now, here I've done a little bit of a cross section of the mango here. So we have a normal sized mango, and we have this one. I've cut the top off, and you can see here, even though I've done my best to sort of scrape away the bits of mango, the flesh really clings to the top here. But unlike, say, an avocado where the stone is clearly visible, and the flesh just peels right off, the avocado, the edible part of the avocado doesn't really cling to the stone. Here, you can't really see the stone as clearly. It almost looks like part of the mango, especially on the camera here. I don't know if it's picking up, but it's a white sort of tablet sort of thing right in the middle. Now, when we pick up a mango and we're looking, we want to cut into it, we want to eat it, it can be sort of hard to tell where the stone is. So usually when I cut a mango, and we'll get a little bit more into that in a second, but a bit further into the video, but when I cut a mango, I'll sort of try and cut it like so we can see, maybe just in there, you can just see the edge of the stone. And that's really what you want to get. An ideal little slice of mango, or a big slice of mango if it's a big mango, in there. So you're really maximizing the amount of mango you're getting when you cut away. Because mangoes, they can be, when they're ready to eat, when they're ripe, they can be very, very juicy and make a huge mess. Because there's not really so much an easy way to eat a mango, you know, there's no easy way to really peel it and just eat it like that. And even if you did eat it like that, you get all this stuff all over your hands and so on. But this is really a sort of eating, really an eating sort of mango. Now, mangoes, as we've said, they're all over the planet, from the top of the subtropic border on the north, right down to the bottom. And they've been around for quite some time, and they are used quite extensively in cuisine, whether they be ripe mangoes, unripe mangoes, whether they be in desserts, in savory dishes. They can be put, you know, on one end of the spectrum, you go to the store, you might pick up some mango ice cream and it's delicious, or a mango smoothie. On the other end of the spectrum, you see in the Philippines, they eat unripe mango with fermented fish. And so it's really versatile and widespread, and we really have to give praise to the mango for being such a nice smelling, enticing, easily discernible and approachable fruit. So I think we've covered everything about the mango environments, the widespread nature of the mango, mangoes in cuisine, so now, and mangoes as a stone fruit, and the complications that arise with that. So now we can really get to the mango. Now, as you can see, I've sort of cut a little thin slice from earlier. Now this is where the mango really shines, shows you its photogenic ability here. I've got this knife. Now, if you're particularly uncoordinated, don't try this at home. Now, I'm a professional, and I don't know if we can get a bit closer to the camera here. Maybe we can get a better view, because this is really what it's all about. Now, we take the knife and we just cut down. Maybe we can get a bit of, I don't want to get too close to the microphone, but because then it'll go off camera. But if we just cut down like so, and then cut across, and maybe if we zoom in, you can sort of see anyway that I've got a little bit of a grid shape going. Not a very good one, because I'm trying to face the camera here, but if we just pop it out, wow, look at that. Now, I'm sure you've seen that before on the pictures, in the magazines, you know, the Mango Fashion Week. That's what it's all about. Now that is, when people think of mango and they're not a mango grower nor a mango picker, that is what they think of. That photogenic little hedgehog pattern there. That is a work of art. You don't get that from any other fruit, really. I mean, honestly, have you ever seen an apple like that? Of course not. Couldn't dream of it. Couldn't even make it up. But here we are with this beautiful mango, and it's so, you smell it, it smells like the tropics, you know. You close your eyes, you're in Jamaica. It's really got that tropical flavor, you know, that goes along with with passion fruit, with pineapple, all that good stuff. You could even just put some sweet chili sauce on this if you're a strange person or so inclined, and just go along. And now I'm just going to dive right in and see what sort of taste we're getting here. Look at that. I've just cleaned the whole thing up. Wow. That was oh, how can I describe it? It's sweet, you know, and again, it's very difficult to describe the taste of things to somebody who, if you haven't tasted them before. And the other problem is that mangoes, they come in such a wide variety, you know. This is quite round, but you can get like longer mangoes, you can get mangoes that are spicier, you can get mangoes that are more sour. But this is really, this Kensington Pride here, this is my favorite, I think, of the mangoes that I've tasted. The mango varieties that I know of, at least. You know, of course I haven't tried every single one, but this, you know, the major one we have in Australia is the Calypso, and those take a long time to ripen up. These ripen up very quickly. You can tell, as I said, from how it smells, how firm it is, and also you can tell mangoes might start off, a lot of them, with a bit of a greener tint, and as they ripen up they get a bit yellow or red. And also the other big sign that we can tell, if I flip this around here and we zoom in, you can see it's starting to get, on this side, it's starting to get little marks, little spots, and that really indicates that it's at peak ripeness, you know. If we leave it a week longer, it'll be overripe. It'll be super soft, and that might be alright for smoothies and stuff, but it might make it a bit difficult if we're cutting it open and trying to eat it, you know, as I just did. So the mango is really, at least this Kensington Pride is really renowned for how sweet it is, how sort of sweet and tropical it is. You know, that is much sweeter than I feel like your average confectionery or chocolate, if they can even really be compared, is. You know, if I was to go down and buy a chocolate mud cake, I get more of a sickly sweet flavor from the mango, and I don't mean that to sound so negative as perhaps it does, but that's the Kensington Pride mango is really bred for being as sweet as possible. So if you're out there and you've got a real sweet tooth, you know, I really can't recommend the mango enough. I don't know if there's any other fruit that really captures the essence of something being so sweet as much as the mango does. Now, that might be different where you are. You know, in America, mangoes are grown, as far as I understand, year-round in Florida, but they're not the same mango every month. Mangoes all around the world are all different. So some will be more fibrous, some will be less sweet, some will grow in one area but won't grow in another, and even in Florida, they'll grow a certain variety of mango, let's say from May to June, but then that mango won't grow for the remainder of the season. They'll have to move on to another variety. So it really depends on where you are. That's why I'm trying to emphasize at least a little bit, that we're talking about the Kensington Pride mango. So if you go to the store, you see that they've got Kensington Pride mangoes, or maybe you recognize that it's the Kensington Pride mango, you'll at least know that this review was referring exclusively to them, and you don't go and you buy a green mango meant for cooking with, or at least more emphasized for cooking with, and it's spicy, and you take it home and you're really excited to satisfy your sweet tooth. You bite into it and it's got this weird spicy flavor. I'm sorry, but I've made my disclaimer here. The responsibility is off of me for that. So all in all, I mean, what are we getting from the mango besides taste? You know, I've tried to look into the studies of mangoes a little bit, and I don't find that much that really separates them from other fruits. You know, they've got a bit of vitamin A, they've got a lot of vitamin C. You can probably tell from their yellow orangey color that they've got beta carotenoids in, and so it'll give your skin a nice glow and so on. But as far as I can tell, mangoes, they're not going to do anything amazing for you, but at least not in the sense that any other fruit will not do for you. You know, if you're out there and you're thinking, wow, since I'm eating this mango, you know, I'm getting all these wonderful benefits. Well, you probably get the same benefits if you were eating, say, a kiwi fruit or something like that. I'm not trying to rag on the mango too hard here. And of course, if you go out and you eat a fruit as opposed to going out and getting a chocolate fudge milkshake or something, obviously I have to recommend the mango as well. When it comes to people sort of make a silly comparison. I feel if you go out there, you run into these body positivity folks, and on the one hand there'll be people there trying to encourage people to maybe eat a bit healthier, and they say, hey, keep away from sugar. And then someone will come along and they'll say, hey, do you know that fruit contains a lot of sugar? Are you telling people not to eat fruit? And it's really quite obnoxious and facetious on top of things. Fruit, it's a whole different board game. Different type of sugar, comes with the fiber, your body metabolizes it easier. It's the whole thing. I don't really want to get into it. But look, fruit is obviously better for you than a slice of cake. So I'm not saying that the mango is unhealthy. I'm just saying that it doesn't offer a huge range of benefits that you wouldn't get from any other fruit. That being said, what we really have to consider here is the mental health gains. You're out there, you're working hard. You really, even if you're not out there chopping wood or laying down bricks, maybe you're just thinking up a storm. You're really exhausting yourself here. You're like, you're trying to solve this riddle. Maybe it's intellectual, maybe it's manual labor, and you're exhausted. Now, if you sit down, you have yourself a mango, you'll feel right as rain in no time. The amazing flavors of the mango are really unmatched across the fruit world. You can just close your eyes and maybe get yourself some mango flesh, or just sink your teeth into it. Take the bit of the skin off. You don't want to do that. Just bite into the skin. The skin is inedible. I really want to emphasize that. And of course, you can compost it and stuff, and you can maybe scrape a bit off, and you can probably use it maybe to make a bit of a chutney or something like that, to give it a bit of an extra flavor. But it's not good for just eating. But mangoes, because of their unique tropical essence, let's say, where you can just close your eyes and chew, and it's like you've been whisked away. You're like on a miniature vacation. You ever read Brave New World, and they take the pills, and it's like they go on vacation. They're out to lunch. That's what a mango is really. You eat the mango, and you are gone on a miniature vacation, and you don't even have to move, but your mental state is refreshed. Stress all gone. Really, if I was a psychologist, I'd be giving mangoes to everybody, and I wouldn't even be talking to them. They'd come in, I'd say, sit down on the old recliner, here's a mango, shake their hand, push them out the door, see you later. 100% success rate. Everyone's issues gone. So really, can't recommend it enough. Pick yourself up a mango if you're feeling down, and even if you're not feeling down, you could always fill more up